Hi everyone, thank you, Dr. Kim. So I'm gonna talk to you guys today about something that you all probably know a little bit about, and that's alcohol. So as university students, our overexposure to alcohol has kind of desensitized us from the fact that it is a highly addictive substance. And when our consumption of alcohol switches from recreational to necessity, we classify this as an addiction, seen through acquired tissue tolerance, physical dependence, and an overall loss of control. Now, overcoming addictions can be extremely difficult, seen through withdrawal symptoms and cravings. This is our physiological response to not giving our bodies the addictive substance it needs. Arguably, if we can reduce these symptoms in individuals, we can facilitate recovery in alcoholics. And today, I'm going to argue that the hormone capable of doing this is oxytocin. So oxytocin, as we learned, is critical for forming intimate relationships, long-term social bonds with either intimate partners or close friends. When you interact with someone romantically, your brain releases higher levels of oxytocin. And interestingly, this influences our behavior in the same way that someone's behavior would be influenced if they were drunk. Those drunk and those in love behave very similarly. So for example, both those drunk and those in love have heightened feelings of optimism and reduced feelings of stress. Think about how you feel spending a quiet night in with your significant other after an atrocious day. Now think about how you feel after consuming an ice-cold glass of Pinot after that same atrocious day. Another example about how those drunk and in love act the same is through heightened aggression and in-group mentality. So think about 2 a.m. bar fights or your jealous girlfriend enraged over who liked your most recent Instagram post. These are just two of the many examples that demonstrate how similarly those drunk and those in love behave. And researchers were very interested in the physiological mechanisms causing these behaviors. And what they found was that oxytocin and ethanol, or the chemical version of alcohol, interact in the same pathway in the brain with the same neurotransmitter GABA. So ethanol directly binds to GABA, as you see here, while oxytocin indirectly releases more GABA receptors. The mechanism differs, but the end product is the same. GABA activity increases. And this increase is partially responsible for those similar behaviors that we witness. Most interestingly, however, when both oxytocin and ethanol are present within the same channel, oxytocin is capable of binding in ethanol's place on GABA. It can essentially replace it. And this is a very interesting treatment application for alcoholics. When an alcoholic is experiencing a craving, it's their body's physiological response to an absence of alcohol. There is no ethanol binding to these receptors. And arguably, if oxytocin can bind in its place, it can actually reduce their symptoms without the consumption of alcohol. So what researchers did was they took a group of alcoholics who consumed a minimum of 16 drinks a day and brought them into a detoxification program. Now, typically in these programs, participants are given lorazepam. This eases their anxiety and their stress that they feel as a result of intense physiological withdrawal. Half the participants were given placebos, and the other half were actually given intranasal oxytocin. And they found in the treatment condition that about 16 milligrams of lorazepam was required per individual in order to successfully complete detox. However, in the oxytocin condition, no lorazepam was required, none. And the researchers argued that this was because the oxytocin was actually reducing their withdrawal symptoms. And they had evidence to back this up. So the same participants self-reported their feelings of withdrawal and physiological discomfort after being admitted into the program. And what they found across the first 3 days was that those given oxytocin reported less frequent and less severe withdrawal symptoms than those being given a placebo, demonstrating that oxytocin may in fact be reducing their withdrawal. So we know that an artificial flood of oxytocin in the brain can alleviate withdrawal symptoms. And we also know that interacting with a romantic partner can release a natural flood of oxytocin. Therefore, we can kind of conclude that falling in love can help an alcoholic overcome their addiction through the alleviation or almost elimination of withdrawal symptoms. And this has very important applications for alcohol rehabilitation programs. Typically, they do already include a social component, but this is for psychological comfort. They've never considered that these interactions may in fact have a physiological benefit that can help alcoholics beat their addictions once and for all. So on a grander scale, I think these results are just a reminder for everyone to always be conscientious of your interactions with those whom you already have attachments with and those who one day you could, because you never know how spreading a little love can influence the lives of those around you. Thank you.